Well, today's vet segment is all about pets and heat and the measures we need to take to keep them all safe. Now, checking back in today with Dr. Jamie Augustine, Medical Director of Oasis Animal Hospital in Henderson. Thank you so much for talking to us today.
Thank you for having me again.
Well, let's get started. The first question on every dog owner's mind is, when is the safest time of day to take our pets out for exercise?
During the summer, the safest time is going to be very early in the morning, like 5 to 7, or after the sun has gone down behind the mountains. It gets very hot, and people think that their pads are good enough for the pavement, but it's not. I always recommend that you check the ground with either your bare feet or your palm, because they can definitely burn their pads. And you want to make sure you take water, and this doesn't apply just for dogs. There are people who do take cats on walks. And cats' paws are just as sensitive as dogs, if not more. So you have to be very careful in the heat and go when it's nice and cool.
That's a good tip there, to make sure that you put your hand down on the pavement. And if it's too hot, obviously it's going to be too hot for them. But you mentioned that the pavement is also as hot. What about desert terrain? Is that just as bad?
That's actually even worse. Not only is it hot, but it's rough. And I have had people say, well, they're not on the concrete, so let me go run them in the desert, and then they come back and they wonder why they can't walk. It's because their pads are torn up, and I mean torn up. And pads take a very long time to heal, and so you want to be very careful where you take them. And you're not just out to the desert or for walks. If you're taking your pet anywhere, to the veterinary hospital, to the groomer, you want to be careful that they're being careful when they walk into the facility, and also that you've got good adequate air conditioning for them, and the air conditioning is reaching them in the back of the car so they don't get too hot in the car. Yeah,
and those are all really good tips, especially because obviously, you know, our pets really don't talk, but they do have different signs that they sometimes will tell us that something is wrong. So just kind of keep a close eye on all of them, especially when you're walking them out during the next couple of months. Now, we did speak to Fire Rescue recently, who reminded us that if we see any type of pets outside in a hot parked car, to contact the authorities. Why is this so important to take action, not just look the other way when something like this happens?
Because we know it can kill them. It can kill humans and it can kill animals, and there's all too many stories of it happening, of beloved pets. People go, they think, well, let me just run it in. I'm going to crack the window down and I'm going to run in real quick. Cracking the window is not enough to get enough airflow, and the cars in the summer are like ovens, and it doesn't take but a few minutes to reach hot enough to put them into a heat exhaustion, and sometimes they don't come back from that. So just don't do it. Make sure you remember you've got a kid or a pet in the car, and just don't leave them in the car if you're running in, even for just a minute.
Yeah, it only takes just a couple of minutes, like you said, that can really make a big difference with our pets outside in the heat. Now, finally, doctor, let me ask you, it's all often that we report on animal abuse and neglect during the summer months of people leaving their pets out in the hot sun with no fresh water, no shade. What would you like pet owners to know about the subject?
Personally, I'd like to see all pets inside during the summer, and if they're going to go outside, make sure they've got adequate protection from the sun, they've got fresh water. If they're going to be outside and live outside, make sure they've got shade, make sure they've got airflow, make sure they've got fresh, clean water. And then mostly pay attention to your pets, love on them, give them attention, but check on them, check their water, check their surroundings, check their bedding. Just keep an eye on your pet like you would any individual who can't take care of themselves.
All right, Dr. Jamie Augustine, thank you so much for talking to us this afternoon. And those are some great tips that you have for all of us. I mean, especially for our little fur babies, like I said, they sometimes don't talk, but there's different ways of them telling us that, hey, you know, it's too hot, just maybe turn up that AC in your car. Thank you so much for talking to us. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.